everybody, today we're going to be talking about unit rates and proportional reasoning, and this goes with the learning goal. I can find unit rates and unit costs. So here are a few definitions that you'll want to put into your notes. A rate is any ratio, so just like what we talked about in the last video where you're comparing two quantities, but now we're comparing two quantities that are measured in different units. So all rates are ratios, but not all ratios are rates. A unit rate is anytime you have a rate for 1 unit of a given quantity. So if you're talking about miles per hour, you're talking about per 1 hour, that's a unit rate. Or miles per gallon that a car would get, that's per 1 gallon, another unit rate. And a unit cost is a unit rate that gives the cost per unit. So again, it's per 1. So a unit cost would be anytime we know the cost per 1. So if I know how much something costs per ounce or how much something costs per pound, those are unit costs. And unit rate and unit cost are used very commonly in everyday life, so they're really important to know about. All right, so I'm going to go back to the situation from yesterday where we have our 9 sheep and our 6 cows. I could write a unit rate because these are two different units. We have cows and we have sheep. Those are different units. So I could write a unit rate that would tell me how many sheep there are per 1 cow or how many cows there are per 1 sheep. So we started out with our original ratio and we knew that we had 9 sheep to 6 cows. And if I want to know how many sheep there are per 1 cow, I need to make that number of cows into 1. And so just like we would do with fractions, if I want to change a number, I need to either multiply or divide. So if I want to make 6 into 1, I need to divide it by itself. So 6 divided by 6 is 1. Whatever I do to the bottom number, I also have to do to the top number so that I get an equivalent rate. So I'm going to use my calculator now. 9 divided by 6 is 1.5. So what that tells me is I have 1.5 sheep to every 1 cow in this field. I could also write a unit rate comparing the other way. So I know that I have 6 cows to 9 sheep. I could figure out how many cows there are per 1 sheep. Now I know that there are fewer cows than sheep, so I should get a number smaller than 1. So in order to do that, I still want to make this per 1 on the bottom. So if I divide 9 by 9, I'm going to get 1 sheep. And if I divide 6 by 9, I get 0.6 repeating. So 0, 6 repeating. So there's 2/3, 0.6 repeating is the same thing as 2/3. So I have 2/3 of a cow for every 1 sheep. So here's a situation where you could find unit rate. This asks you to find the unit rate for 210 heartbeats in 3 minutes. So I could write this rate as 210 beats per 3 minutes. And if I want to write that as a unit rate, that means I want to change it to per 1 minute. So again, I need to divide by the number that I'm trying to change into a 1. So 210 divided by 3 would give me 70 beats per minute. And a lot of times we don't say the 1 in a unit rate, we just would say 70 beats per minute. So here's one for you to try. If it took you 5 hours to drive 365 miles, I'd like you to find the unit rate. So think about whether you would normally do that as miles per hour or hours per mile, and set your rate up and then figure out the unit rate. So go ahead and pause the video now and do that, and then come back and see if I agree with you. So I went ahead and set this up as miles per hour because that would be a typical way that we would express this rate. We drove 365 miles in 5 hours. I divided both by 5 and ended up with 73, and a lot of times we abbreviate miles per hour as mph. So that's what I did there. The answer to the free response question for today is ceiling fan. We can use unit cost in a couple of ways. You can be given a unit cost and use that to figure out the total cost, or you might calculate the unit cost if you're comparing two items to figure out which one is the better buy. So in this case, if we know the unit cost 35 cents per pound, and we want to figure out the cost of a 20-pound bag, I'm just going to take the unit cost, that's per 1 pound, I'm going to multiply that by the number of pounds that I'm going to buy. So I would just take 0.35 and multiply that by the total number of pounds that I'm going to buy. And that tells me that my total cost for my bag of dog food is going to be $7. So that's one way that we might use unit cost. If we know the unit cost, we use it to calculate the total cost. Another way that we might use unit cost is to compare two items. So it might be a little bit hard to read, but this is a 16-ounce bottle of shampoo and it costs $6.19. And this is a 13.5-ounce bottle of shampoo and it costs $3.99. So I'd like to know which one of those is actually the better buy so I can decide, should I buy the bigger bottle or should I buy the smaller bottle? Because I don't want to buy the bigger bottle and then find out I actually paid more per ounce and I could have just bought the smaller bottle. So I'm going to set up two rates, figure out the unit cost of both of these bottles of shampoo, and then compare those. So for the first one, it's $6.19 per 16 ounces. And if I want to figure out the unit cost, I want to figure out what is it per 1 ounce. So I'm going to divide by 16. And so I will get 0.386, so that's about 39 cents per ounce. Sometimes, if these are really close, we have to look at the unrounded value, but then you might as well just buy whichever one you want. So this other one is $3.99 for 13.5 ounces. Again, I need to divide by the number of ounces so that I can figure out the cost per 1 ounce. So that's per ounce up here. So that one is about 30 cents per ounce if I round that to the nearest. So I would write that 30 cents per ounce. So in this case, the smaller bottle is actually cheaper. Not $30, better put that decimal point in there. It is actually 30 cents per ounce, whereas the larger bottle costs 39 cents per ounce. So I would be better off buying the smaller bottle or two of the smaller bottle or whatever I wanted to do because it's actually cheaper. All right, here are your free response and multiple choice questions. So go ahead and pause the video, and when you get done with that, have a great day.